I think they were.
If they're gonna try to be serious, but it's not gonna go very far, but if you read all that.
Well, it's 5 days, so we're ready, you all can do that. Maybe Steve will wear one.
Yeah, that's.
Hello. How are you doing?
You done good.
Okay.
It's hot, isn't it?
When did they let you back up? I thought you had to sit down here and time out.
No, I graduated.
Oh, well, you got moved out. I'm trying to see that.
Yeah, I graduated at study up here. So I had
Just came to see what shit shows about. In my opinion, fine, how are you? No, it's all been quiet.
Only one room missing is upstairs. He's gonna sit.
Oh, yeah.
This is.
Yes. Learn my key.
Hey, I didn't know you drank some Canadian shot till I saw the paper.
I sure did. It's
Kind of low key operation.
Well, it takes a lot of money.
I haven't brought my glasses out.
This one.
But then,
Lots of.
Sorry, lots of.
well, I can't read, but I see it there.
So you're gonna address that? Yep. I handed that one out.
They can't put board right off somebody that long.
So, what do you, prior to that?
You can't.
Come on.
Tammy, will you go in your stuff, then I'll send you that one.
The county wants.
This one. I'll hand you a couple of letters and then hand you, did I hand you this one?
I think I've read some comments too.
Well, which one's in Philadelphia?
Yeah, that's yeah, that's.
Here. I'll do the same. Yes.
So this is another- Well, we got one from Philadelphia, one from Greenback. We should have one from Greenback, right?
That's scary. State's not here.
So we should have one from Philadelphia too, right?
This is yours, right?
They don't.
Here's the next one, I think.
City, we're the city of Philadelphia.
The city's mountain and the city is with the city.
Do what? Philadelphia's in the county.
It's gonna be, you know.
We should have the city of Philadelphia if you got Loudon, Greenback. We don't say we are in Philadelphia. So basically, it's the same crap here as it is everywhere else. Everything is on the same. If you're gonna have all the cities represented, you gotta have all the cities represented. And then you file from the county.
Possibly, I don't know.
But that would be on county commission, not these guys, right?
Right, I say,
Okay.
once I get on, they're free.
Okay.
No.
In other words, we only follow the guidelines that we want.
Right.
Okay, that works.
Get interested.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order. It is now, 6:03. So I'm calling the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission, June 14th meeting to order. So opening our meeting, Larry, would you like to do the pledge and the invocation?
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Dear God and Heavenly Father, it's again we come to you, thanking you for another blessed day. God, we ask that you watch over this meeting. Let us prevail with this, do the right things for the citizens of Loudon County. God, we ask that you watch over our firefighters, our law, our military, and all the first responders that are out there, God. Keep your safe hand over them so that they may return home tonight safe and sound. In these things we pray, in Jesus' name, amen.
Shelby, would you mind getting me a list that's on the podium?
Wait, I didn't sign my list, hold on.
Okay, well, I'll do my opening comments while you're doing that. How's that? All right, we're on agenda item number 2, opening comments. I just want to remind everybody that we are here to talk about the Solid Waste Disposal Commission, and we are talking about how the landfill is operated. So please keep that in mind, and that we have more than one person tonight that wants to speak. So, with that being said, Richard, you're first up on the list.
Thank you.
Chairwoman.
No.
Sorry.
I don't care.
Richard Ackman, Local Village, Loudon. I've attended a couple of the meetings recently. I didn't attend the county meeting last week, but I did watch the video. I was impressed with how much detail the county went through regarding what they would like to see. And there were a lot of things that were brought up that were asked to be considered, just like last night it was asked to be considered. But I have two concerns. One last night was Republic has the right to make a profit, which is true. Any business that opens up should be able to make a profit. My only concern about that is, why don't we have a right to make a profit? It's our asset. It is our property, and we're getting short-shifted to the tune of 91.9. I believe Ms. Hunter has said last week that it was 292 last year, fiscal year, for us, and 3.2 for Republic. And we paid, as stakeholders, almost 400,000. We got 292 back. The exact number was somewhere around 386. So we're short on that end of the street too. The other comment that was made, and it's in the paper, it's the last comment that was made by Mr. Jameson. I believe, or then I believe, I would fight selling it. In that video, in that hour and a half that the discussion was on, I didn't hear anybody talk about selling it, unless I missed what they said. And I have said to sell it. If you push this contract through before July 1st, it goes 16 years to 2038 from this summer. It's $49.2, $49.3 million in revenue, using the same amounts of intake, dollars per ton for that 16 years. Now, last night in the North City meeting, Mr. Akins, mayor, wrote a letter to y'all that said he wants you to consider what's going on that Keep Rate. Something I talked about previous time, where we go from 28 to 45, which is a 52% increase. I brought that up last night. I didn't seem to get any reaction from the Loudon people. They sort of just accepted the fact that it's going up, even though it will affect the businesses here in town. And the gate rate was justified by surrounding counties being higher, but not that much higher. And as long as we're under the surrounding counties, it would be logical for them to bring it here. The other thing I pointed out last night, 75 miles from mile marker 72 puts you 3 miles into Georgia. Down in Chattanooga. If they bring their garbage into the transfer station that we all know exists in Chattanooga, and Steve addressed this, the honor system, when the truck showed up, you ask them where it's from, they say, oh, it's from here. Inside that 75-mile radius, it may not be. It may be mixed up in that transfer. Transferring garbage that far is not unheard of. Republic does it in every location they own. And if Bradley fills up, the next obvious place to move to is here. All right, so the tipping fees were brought up both in the county, was brought up in the North City. I agree that they have a right to make a profit, but so do we. talk about 3.96, supposed to be going to 5.5, it generates $5,200 a month, $60,000 a year. Is not gonna eliminate your 2.5 million problem. The other thing I would like to point out is you gotta stop saying, well, at the end of this contract, we're on the hook for 13.2 million. Where are we gonna get it? You already got 4.5. At 300,000 for the next 5 years, with another $1.5 million, that's gonna take you to 6. You only need 8.5 to close the facility. The other 4 point something is over 80 years. That's $127,000 a year. That's less than a penny of tax. It's a half cent actually. So we'd be 2 million short in 2027. I think that if we jumped it $5 million from 8.5 to 13.2 from August to January, what's it gonna be in 2038? What's the 200,000 per acre going to be in 2038? Because we're not closing very many before 2038. Matter of fact, we won't even close any of the 53, just the 41 through 2038, if you look at the schedule. And the last thing I wanna make and ask you all to consider, it's been stated it's gonna cost them $200,000 a year for a bond. Why don't you get them to give you the $200,000 a year? We'll buy the bond and we'll pocket the difference. That $200,000 for 16 years is 3.2 million. It would close that account. If they're so willing to take $200,000 a year for a bond, have them give it to you. And we'll take the liability and protection. Thank you.
Hey, Richard, I wanna just touch on a couple of things. Did I hear you say last night, I'm gonna make sure I heard this. I heard you say last night that you were in favor of increasing the gate rate?
No, I wasn't.
I thought you said something last night about the $45 would put us in line with the other surrounding counties.
I used it as an example of why it's been proposed to go to 45, because it is less than the surrounding counties, except the average for the surrounding counties is actually 37. There are other counties.
Oh, I thought you said last night that the surrounding counties were,
In the 50s, some of them.
yeah. But
And
then
if
you just said that if they were in 37 range?
I believe if you take the average of the 8 counties around us,
No, I don't want the average. What is the tipping fees around us are what,
as high
above
as-
45?
Yeah, as high as 52, 54.
Okay, okay.
So if you had a choice of whether you drive 10 miles here or 30 miles there,
But right now they're what, 28?
ours is 28, yes.
Yeah, and so if it jumped to 45, we would be in line with everybody around
We'd
us.
still be below someone going.
Yeah.
And I still think
But
it's
there'd be a
enough
lot of
incentive.
people that would not come from, like, Rome County wouldn't come all the way over here maybe and
Oh, no,
dump trash too, or
they would come here.
area.
Let's say you got a truck with 10 tons on it.
Yeah.
And you could save $7 a ton, that's
Yeah.
$70.
Yeah.
You would bring that over here. Now, you do,
It's gonna cost them a whole lot more money to bring them over here, yeah.
if you factor in the fuel costs.
Yeah.
And
Richard, there's kind of a dichotomy in what you're saying. On one hand, you're saying you want a lower tipping fee, but on the other hand, you're saying you don't want trash to come from neighboring counties. And so, you know, those
No, I
two
didn't
can't
say
be
that.
reconciled.
you're putting words in my mouth.
Well,
What I
Explain
said
it.
is by raising it to 45, you're still below the surrounding counties. And you're hurting the business people in the county. You're going up 52% from 28.
Only those business people that don't have contracts,
That's right.
which are very few. Is that correct? What's the percentage of contracts that we have for our commercial operations?
About 15.
I'm asking them, they would know.
I wouldn't say, I couldn't say right now to be specifically honest. It's greater than 50%,
50,
Yes.
greater than 50%
probably, yeah.
that don't have contracts?
Probably good.
That do have contracts.
That do have contracts.
So very few commercial
Oh.
customers are paying the gate rate. Is that correct? Less than half. Yeah.
Only thing I would say there, the quandary that we're in by the money that we take in based on the percentages that we get, by raising that, that helps the overall numbers there.
Yeah, we get 10 cents on the dollar, they get 90 cents.
I agree, but it's still an increase to where we're at, from where we're at right now.
And Mr. Anklin, I did not address that last night because I will be honest with you, I thought that you were supporting a higher tipping fee
Yeah.
last night, and that's the first time I'd heard that, so I was rather confused last night, so
That's what
I didn't
I was
mention it
asking it
for
too, because
that
I was
reason.
I
confused.
put
So-
this schedule together, which compares the landfill top 25 customers. The red boxes are the stakeholders, Lenore City, Loudon Utilities, Loudon County, going up from a 2115 to a 2358, which is an 11.5% increase.
But
The blue
still,
box-
that's gonna remain the lowest.
I'm sorry,
Still, the stakeholders will remain the lowest,
Oh, I agree.
even inside,
Yep.
even within the Republic contract. The
Okay.
stakeholders will remain the lowest
there's
tipping
1,
fee.
2, 3, 4, 5 people here, actually 6, 7, 8, that will go up 58% when you go from 28 to 45. Adams Roofing, Service Mess, Different Ways, Jump Beacon, Bay Portables, Rail Car Service Group, KW West, Kimberly Clark. Those are local businesses.
But they're
That's not all of
still,
them.
but still, if they go to another landfill, they're gonna pay within what?
They'll pay more.
They'll pay.
And they'd also have an opportunity to negotiate a contracted rate directly with the operator, which is what most, if not all, the large commercial customers do.
Right.
Alright, oh, and I wanted to give you something, I don't know if you got this, but, you've talked about the 13 million. So I made this a copy for you, this is the, letter that TDEC sends to Buddy Bradshaw. And then we were asked for the explanation,
This one?
and then you have all the pages, you have the one where. I think about this.
This I just got before, where you got else,
Yeah, that's the other thing.
the letter to the mayor.
Well, this is different than that. This one is that one, but this one is,
All right, still 13,774.
well, I just thought this was.
Yeah, I'll take it.
But you look at both of those.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you had that information, that you knew that.
But what I said
That
earlier,
was what TDEC,
you need 8.5 million to close 41 acres. If you do it in 2027, or whether you do it in 2038. My argument is in 2038, it's not gonna be 8.5, if it jumped 5 million in the last 6 months, because of inflation factor. So you don't need 13.2 million to close it. We already have 4.5. You're gonna get another 1.5 million in the next 5 years. It would be under $3 million. That's not a number that's too difficult to swallow from a tax standpoint.
$3 million shortfall?
I'm sorry?
A $3 million shortfall is not difficult to swallow?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And the extra 4.5 million divided over the 8 years is 127,000 a year. So when you talk about 3.2, it's not whole nut the day you close the facility. Part of it's 80 years, part of it's closure. I
wouldn't
still
that
don't
be a
believe-
tax increase? Wouldn't that be a tax increase to everyone in Loudon County?
And who's gonna pay that 3.2 million?
I'm sorry?
That
Who
would
will
be a
pay the
tax
3.2?
increase.
The citizens? The citizens of Loudon County would pay a $3 million or additional shortfall?
Over whatever period of time necessary.
And you're advocating for that?
Yep.
Okay, just want to be clear.
You can write it down, take it to the bank. My point being, it's not 13.2. And you've been leaving some people with the impression that we have to have 13.2 in 2027. Not true. 8.5. If, here's the big if, 41 acres times 200,000 is 8.4. If within that 200,000, it costs how much for the dirt? You got plastic, labor, and dirt. Those are the three elements. Cap the landfill. You're giving them the dirt. So where does the 200,000 come from? That's the number I would push back on. If we're giving them the dirt, and I would say that the dirt is the largest of the three expenditures, because you're talking about a 40 mil plastic sheet over an acre and 18 inches of dirt on top of it. And of course, the labor to seal that plastic sheet, it has to be hermetically sealed. I don't see that costing 200,000, my opinion. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Lynn? I would have said Miss Greer, but then I wouldn't know who that was.
I'm Miss Greer. Hi, I'm Lynn Greer from Philadelphia. I know three of y'all, you look familiar. I feel like I really should know you. And he looks familiar too, but I just can't place the face.
Dr. Moon?
No, I'm talking to him.
Okay.
You're from Greenback.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Satterfield told me. I mainly have questions before I make a statement. So, y'all are wanting to extend the contract with Republic 5 years before the contract is up because there are so many hoops you have to jump through for TDEC to make it possible, right? Okay.
A lot of that, if I may, is to eliminate our audit shows a yearly shortfall.
Okay.
It said we're not garnering enough money on a yearly basis in the contract. And if we don't extend the contract or change the contract in some manner, we're gonna have $3+ million shortfall that he talked about.
So when we extend, we're changing the terms
Correct,
to more beneficial terms for Loudon County,
that's correct.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
If we don't extend the contract, who do we have lined up to take over besides Republic?
We don't.
I'm asking Ms. Hunter directly because she's the one that seems to be screaming that we can't extend the contract. So what's your alternative?
I'm saying that we need a good contract.
Okay, so there is no alternative.
There's a process that we'll have to go through. When we get to closer, if we elect not to extend the contract,
Right,
then there'll be a process of procurement going forward, which we would invite multiple operators to bid on.
a bid,
Yes, and a bid process.
all right.
Which I'm sure that Santec Republic would be one. In our last, Steve Fields is not here, but in our last time when we put out for bid, Pat, you may help me right here.
We only had one bid.
We only had one bid. Now,
Santec.
there was 3 or 4 interested, but only one bid.
Correct.
Well, we had options. There was another option to use a transfer station. And that part of the RFP was dismissed. So that left only the turnkey. But-
Why was that part of the contract dismissed?
I don't know. That is a question.
Who is they?
The Solid Waste Commission had an RFP, but the RFP was for a turnkey and also for a transfer station. So there was a bid there was a company that wanted to bid for the transfer. It's in the 2007 minutes.
I believe there was never a formal bid submitted on the transfer station. You're correct, there were 2 options. And Santec, now Republic, was the only one that bid on operation of the landfill.
On a turnkey.
Correct. Those that were discussing the transfer station had an opportunity to bid. It was never withdrawn, but they elected not to bid. So there was only one bid for the 2.
Well, one thing that I'd like to say about the transfer station, if the Solid Waste Commission had actually contemplated seriously the transfer station, we wouldn't be talking about a $13.2 million.
They put it in the bid, so that made it,
But-
they were
but if-
serious about it if they put it in the bid.
They weren't thinking of a huge, liability of 13.2 in 2007, so.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
Yeah.
That vote failed. Unless you wanna put it in this contract extension, is that what you all are discussing, or is this just
The
something that
transfer
happened years ago?
station?
Yeah,
No.
Okay,
we're not discussing
so-
the transfer station.
let's get on with my questions, because eventually somebody's gonna let me sit down and shut up. So, is there any other business in the area that is the size and capability of Republic that can take care of us?
Well, Republic's either the number one or number two,
Who's number one?
well,
Waste management,
they go back, what?
Do they love us?
Waste management.
waste management.
Do they wanna dance with us?
They have their own landfill.
They have their own landfill.
So it would end up costing us more money to go with waste management? If they would even consider doing a contract with us?
If you put in a transfer station right now to haul it to another landfill,
Uh-huh,
you still got closure costs down here.
okay, alright.
So that,
So
what
then
that
that goes-
costs,
So,
plus the transfer station,
that's double the money, double your
Yes, ma'am.
fund, okay. And how close to the end of the contract can we actually skate before we can't meet the TDEC requirements?
Is it, we have to give a
3
letter
years.
within 2 years, 3 years of the end of the.
2 to 3 years depending on the permitting
Yeah.
time with TDEC.
it goes back to the permitting that is in place for TDEC right now. In order to meet some of our contractual obligations on the present day permit, we've got, with our operator, we have to get a new permit in order to get the airspace to move forward.
Okay.
And am I right on that,
Yeah,
Kevin?
and you can't wait until the last day because the permit period's
That's why I
2+
asked how
years.
much
2 to
play
3
you had
years.
in it.
2 years at the most.
But that's really skating right up to the edge, although 2 years sounds long, you're dealing with red tape and permits and bureaucracy and all that kind of stuff. So, am I correct in assuming that since the only person I've heard screaming against it on your committee is Pat? Everybody else for it? Cause I haven't heard anybody else pitch a fit about it.
The vote was 6-1, I believe. when we-
6 to 1 in favor.
Okay, it sounds like a quorum to me. So I would either, if it were me, as a citizen, sitting here listening to this stuff, if it were me, I would either vote to do it, or I would stand up 6-1, hand in my resignation to Buddy, and let him put Rich up there, and he and Pat and Buddy can figure out how to do that $13 million. But I guarantee you, the taxpayers are not gonna be sitting there going, oh yeah, we'd love to pay it. So that's just my opinion. Love you guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next, agenda item is number 4, approval of our May 10th, 2022 minutes. We'll give everybody an opportunity to look those over.
When you think about that one page.
Done good.
Happy as can be.
backspace a little bit. I did have to, but I was not doing it other
Trying to
times,
get
which is
to them.
fine, yeah.
Got plenty of room. You're good.
I like that respectfully.
That's what I said. You got that.
I'm finally getting it down.
Alright,
Kelly, if I could, I would want to introduce our future and going forward minutes, collector, Taylor. She is, she's at the landfill with us now, and I want to wish Shelby a bright future as she goes tomorrow to venture out on a different course of where she wants to go in life as far as at the Republic. So this will be her last time here, unless Taylor would need her to fill in, so. Wish Taylor, wish Shelby a good trip on her new new job task she's got in front of her.
well, congratulations. We knew you wouldn't be with us long.
Yeah.
Because we knew you were because you're very efficient, you do a good job. So we knew that you would probably be moving up.
Thank you, I'm very excited
And
to move
Taylor,
up with
we're
Republic.
happy to have you.
I thought it was Kathy all along.
Taylor's wonderful, you'll love her, she's just like me, I swear we're the same human.
Okay. Alright,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
we have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Bivens and a second, Mr. Dennison. Any discussion? Alright, there's no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
I abstain.
We have two abstain. You write this down. All right, with that in mind, the minutes have been approved. So May 10th, 2022 minutes are approved. Approval of, we're on to item 5 on the agenda, approval of the June 14th, 2022 agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the agenda as is.
We have a motion by Mr. Jamison to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a second by Art, Mr. Stewart. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And anyone opposed? All right, the agenda has been approved. All right, we will move on to the agenda item 6, attorney's report. Number 1's the contract amendment.
Okay, it's obviously been a busy month with respect to the contract amendment. As you recall, we had voted in our previous meeting to distribute the draft, which was approved by this commission for distribution, not formally approved for final execution, but for distribution only to the stakeholders so that they would provide any comments or questions they may have regarding the terms of the amendment or the exhibits or anything else related to the contract extension as proposed. We had a few meetings. There were 2 meetings with Loudon County Commission. There was 1 meeting with Lenore City and 1 with the City of Loudon, all of which provided comments, provided feedback related to the proposed amendment. I'll start with Loudon County, which was the first. We received lengthy discussion during the course of 2 meetings. Some comments, and at the end of the meeting, a request was made by the county commission that On behalf of Solid Waste, that we formally request that Republic reopen negotiations. Based on that request,
Let's do the before that, that's it.
Okay.
Because before that, we had county commission asked to have, Bob Bowman take a look at the extension and the contract and give a formal opinion. So I do have the formal opinion from Bob Bowman, which was also given to county commission.
Mr. Chairman, would you read that, please?
And it says, and I'm gonna give you what, Mr. Bowman, County Commission requested you take a look at the solid waste extension contract and relate anything you see might be changed before the County Commission June meeting. Therefore, I'm attaching the extension contract and the summary of the contract for your review. Thank you for your time, Kelly Brewster. And he returns with, please see the email opinion below from Loudon County Attorney Bob Bowman. He returned this to Kevin. He is recommending the amendment. So I will look and says, Dear Commissioner Brewster, I have reviewed the second amendment to the sanitary landfill agreement, amended agreement. I also spoke with Kevin Stevens yesterday regarding the amended agreement. We discussed my historical concern for Loudon County's financial liability for post-closure assurance related to the Matlock Bend landfill. My review of the amended agreement and my conversation with Mr. Stevens confirms that Loudon County is relieved of its post-closure financial obligations based on the terms in the amended agreement. Although the legal obligation remains in place under state law, the financial liability is limited in section 8.3 of the amended agreement, as Santec will provide a performance bond to cover the financial liability associated with the post-closure financial assurance. This is confirmed in the summary of proposed amendments. Both the amended agreement and the summary are attached for your review. It is my opinion that this is a huge win for Loudon County, as it is no longer responsible for the post-closure financial obligations associated with the landfill. If you have any questions concerning the foregoing, please let me know. Robert L. Bowman, attorney. That was one of the things that was asked of me from County Commission, was to get an opinion from Bob Bowman, which I did. Another thing that has been asked of me all through the contract was to get the financial obligation off the county. According to our amendment, that is what we've done. Another thing was also to keep,
height of the landfill.
Huh?
The height of the landfill.
Yes, was to keep the landfill height, as low as we possibly could, which is another thing that we have also done with the landfill, was to keep that height from going any higher on Tennessee National, which is exactly what we've done also, that's in the agreement. We were asked, Mr. Tinker nicely asked after our last meeting if there was a possibility that we could look into asking Republic if they would be willing to open up more negotiations. So, with that under the advisement of Mr. Tinker, we also did that too.
Okay.
So,
And that's where, in terms of the county commission special meeting, they didn't take a vote or provide any specific comments, but Mr. Tinker did ask that our commission make a request of Republic to see if they would be willing to consider reopening contract negotiations. I sent a written request on June 13th to Republic, specifically asking if they would be willing, based on the Loudon County Commission's request to reopen negotiations regarding the terms and conditions of the proposed draft. I have received a verbal response from Republic, is that they are no longer willing to negotiate any further, They have negotiated this proposed agreement for over 5 years and have gone as far as they are willing to go.
Actually, 8 years. Last night, City Loudon City Council, it was said 7 years, but it's actually 8 plus, so. But, we do have the letter, everybody would like to see the letter that was wrote to, and everyone on the board has one too, the letter that was written to Republic about opening up negotiations again.
So, that was the status of discussion with the county, who's one of our 3 stakeholders. Just last night, there were meetings, with the city of Loudon and Lenore City. I don't know if those in attendance want to give a brief summary, and then we have some letters from, who wants to start? Tim, you want to add anything from the city of Loudon?
You know, my constituents, it's in our backyard. Tennessee National is right up against it. Tennessee National has expressed what their main issues and concerns are. Our citizens have expressed a lot concerning the roadways as well, and I feel like we have that resolved as a good faith standing. Tennessee National's biggest concern was the height of the landfill and their view of that. I feel like this amendment also covers that. I feel like as far as the constituents I represent, this amendment does alleviate all of their concerns. And my council backs that opinion.
I received a letter from Mayor Jeff Harris today. So, the board has one, I'll be glad to make it available to anyone out here too. It says, "Dear Commissioners, I hope this finds you well. Loudon City Council held a workshop last evening and discussed the current status of landfill contract and whether or not to extend the contract as proposed with the amendments. Ms. Tammy Bivens, Loudon City Representative, was at the meeting and shared the process that she has been a part of for the last several years, working to amend the current contract and move toward an agreeable extension. After hearing Mrs. Bivens' information, Loudon City Council agreed to share certain concerns held by them and to encourage proceeding with extension of the contract with Republic as amended. The concerns to be expressed by Loudon City Council are regarding tipping fees charged to private businesses as well as to Loudon City government. Loudon City Council wants to make sure that these are considered seriously as you make the decision to proceed with extension of the contract as proposed with amendments. Please consider this as the position of Loudon City Council. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me." I've also enclosed one of each copy of each letter with the agenda and the packet to be placed at the county office building where our records are kept. So that was Loudon City's letter.
So, Lenore City, obviously had a meeting last night as well. Art is the Lenore City representative. Do you want to add some comments about the meeting?
I would say 2 things about it. First, they finally agreed to send a letter to the commission here, and that letter bears a stunning resemblance to the one from Loudon.
Yep.
So they're on the same page, same wavelength as far as concerns. Their chief concerns seem to be, or the questions they asked, related primarily to tipping fees. The other thing that was notable there is I was able to get into the hands of each commissioner Kevin's notes or bullet points, what it would look like if we go forward with the current contract, and what it would look like going forward with the revised proposed contract.
Yes.
Make sure they each had a copy of that.
As far as, on there it expresses that the tipping fees were a concern of theirs. Mainly, I think that was addressed tonight, and the aspect of it was, it's been portrayed that, all customers that come in that aren't, city or county would pay the gate fee, And that's never been the case. It's not been the case going forward. Our businesses are able to negotiate a contract price with Republic. So I feel like that's protected. As far as the stakeholder entities, with us in this contract amendment getting the lower rate, that's been addressed as well. So I feel like the amendment going forward is.
And Art will agree, that has been one of Mayor Aiken's biggest thing was he wants to make sure that the entities have the best tipping fee. I mean, he's expressed that, I'm sure, several times to Art, he's expressed that to us. JJ came and you expressed that to us too, right? So in this extension, the stakeholders have the lowest tipping fee even within the Republic business.
I'd also make a note on the stakeholder tipping fees specifically. Under the existing agreement, had Republic been applying all the CPI adjustments they were entitled to in the agreement, the current stakeholder rate would be $26.90. However, they are, in this new proposal, agreeing to set the stakeholder rate at $23.58. So in fact, it is lower than what the stakeholder rate would have otherwise been under the existing agreement.
What's Republic's rate?
Previously,
Oh, in the new contract.
in excess, the lowest floor rate will be $26 a ton.
You're gonna match ours? 23.58.
I just said the lowest rate will be $26 a ton.
We have to have the lowest rate. The three stakeholders must be the lowest rate according to our addendum.
And no other rates can be below $26 a ton.
Even within Republic.
And you're sure that Republic's gonna honor being above the stakeholder?
That is in the contract
It
agreement.
is written in the contract. That
That's
way,
what
we made sure, I mean.
It's
That's what
like-
contracts are for.
It's like anything else. This is what we've got in black and white right now. Now, is that to say this is our first amendment to the contract? Is there a possibility of a second amendment going down the pike? I think this proposed addendum is in the best interest of Loudon County as a whole, for all three stakeholders, and it gives us something to build on. And yes, it's an extension on the contract, it's a give and take. We don't all agree on the rates, we don't all agree on the money, we all have different aspects of that, but it's a starting point. It's a starting point that we can move forward on, and I really hope that we can move forward with it.
So that's kind of a summary of discussions with the three stakeholders and where things stand. Again, we've gotten votes of approval from two of the three. The county commission has not taken any vote, but did direct us to
I
make.
just wanted to ask you, have you received any letter or verbal from any city county commissioner except Ms. Brewster or from the county mayor that endorses the current contract that you're submitting?
We've received nothing in writing from anyone,
Nothing.
in favor or against, in writing,
What? You got a letter from Lenore, from Loudon, City of Loudon, did you not?
saying they support it.
Yeah,
Lenore
how many members are appointed by the county to this commission?
I think it's 5.
5. How many from Loudon City?
1.
How many from Lenore City?
1. What's the split of liability amongst the three?
One from
It's the same.
Greenbrier.
The
One from
county
Greenbrier.
has the liability.
The three
Not
stakeholders,
pursuant to the interlocal agreement.
The county, but, that doesn't seem to matter with well, never mind. I just wanted to make a point of the majority of the county and the county's interests, and it just seems odd to me that nobody has, from the county commission seat except Kelly, thought this was a good idea.
We've not heard that. There's been no vote from the county commission.
If I remember, the feedback from the last county commission was, please wait. Don't rush. And I don't think any of them had a resounding, we love it, continue with it. I would be concerned if I was on this board about the majority, the county as a whole, as opposed to two cities. You know, it would be good if the county got on board with it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would, but they've got to see something that is of value to the county.
And they haven't seen anything?
We have seen some, we've celebrated some small victories. We got a washer put in out there to wash the mud off the trucks, and,
So there's
there's no need getting into that here. I'm just telling you that.
Well, the one thing that was asked of me to get, that you all have asked for 8 years since I've been on there, was to make sure that the county was not on liability anymore, that Buddy Bradshaw did not have to
That was
sign
mainly
that.
Buddy. He didn't like signing his name to the document.
Well, there were a couple of, there were several commissioners that wanted
About
that
8 months
too.
ago, there was another commissioner that told me, get it signed and move on.
Van thought that was a good idea to get the county out from under all that, but I don't know, maybe we were all at different meetings, but I didn't hear anything from the last two county commission meetings that had overwhelming support for this.
No,
That's
I
just
didn't.
it, and I don't want to take.
I
up
hear
your
a
time.
I heard a lot of tainted things too about
There were a
talking
lot of
about.
questions asked, and we were promised information, and I don't know if that information's got to us yet or not.
What
a lot of questions were asked,
what information have we
We
lacked
had
getting?
questions, I'd have to go back and look at, our minutes, and I'm sure I could probably get a copy of those and look at them and see, but we have more questions than answers, that's on thing.
Well, I know that you had some questions about us getting documents to people and us
Oh, yeah,
doing
that
those
was
things.
one of the big ones.
And I tried to address
Yeah,
that with you, but was unable
That's
to
fine,
address that.
I didn't want to come
And
here.
we do,
I didn't want to come here to argue, you all need to go
Well, I'm not
on, you
arguing.
need to go on with your meeting, and I said what I need to say.
I'm not arguing, I just wanna make sure that we do get that addressed.
Can I ask
There
a
was-
question?
Yes,
Did they tell you to come and tell them that, or is this just your
This
personal
is me,
stance?
this is me,
So you're representing yourself, not the county commission?
exactly.
Mr. Satterfield, we would be more than glad to address the issues that your concerns. I don't know if I've got a complete list or not, but I'd be more than glad to work on it for you.
That's not, like I said, I said more than I meant to say tonight anyhow, I wasn't gonna say it.
We've made clear and still make clear that we will answer any questions, address any concerns. The commission left the meeting asking if we would request from Republic to reopen negotiations, and that's exactly what we did.
Republic's verbal comment was no.
Absolutely,
They had done all they wanted to do.
that's correct.
Okay.
And if you had said, we're not gonna sign it, would they still say no?
I didn't say anything one way or the other. I asked them to
I
reopen
don't wanna take up your
negotiations.
time with this, y'all discuss it,
One concern that I mentioned to Mr. Stevens was a request that was made by Commissioner Shaver, which I think is a real good idea. We have seen the second amendment as presented. But one thing that I thought I heard Commissioner Shaver say, and I wanted clarification from him and also from Mr. Stevens, was a really good question. When we're looking at the 2007 contract, and we're looking specifically at the amendments, what he had requested was to see the 2007 contract, to see which portions of the contract are being amended so he could see the before and the after. And I know it's gonna be a little bit hard for Mr. Stevens to do, but he's agreed to do it.
I'm
And I
glad to
think
try and do
it's,
that.
and I think it's a good idea, so you can see the before and the after visually, instead of seeing it as two standalone documents, and you really don't get to see the 2007, and then to see this. So I thought that was a good idea, and he said he would honor his request.
I think that's a good idea, just send it to him, but I think that's fine, but I think also we did that in our summary when we did the red line, where we put you know.
each article number was down on there for the original
I
contract.
understand that.
Yeah, and then in red, what was in the original contract, and then
I mean,
what
for
has been
8
changed.
years, we've worked on this.
Mhm.
And the county commission has come at us with the same things for 8 years that we've kept getting and kept getting. And now here we are again at the end of it, and now we have more things now that they want. I just really feel like a lot of that is unreasonable, and I feel like a lot of that is directed, the fact of it's election time, I think there's a lot of stuff that adds into that. I think that we've been working on this for 8 years. I'm not sure, I've heard it at the county commission meetings when we went, Mr. Satterfield just now addressed it again, as of, we should seriously be concerned, the ones that are appointed by the county. I'll tell you right now, if somebody wants to remove me from this board that sits here for almost 3 hours and deals with this, I won't cry. So, I mean, I don't know anybody up here that would sit here and cry over that. So, I mean, if that's a threat, that's fine. We're not making a living up here, by no means. I would just like to see this finished. It either gets approved or it fails and we move on with life, because I'm tired. And I'm done with the back and forth. It's turned into something extremely ugly. People have personally, and just, I'd like to see a vote on it. Roll call vote, it passes or it fails. That's my opinion.
Other comments while we're in a discussion period?
I got a question for clarification, just on the account, just when Republic pushed back to you, and says, we've been negotiating this thing for years and years and years. I mean, it's been with Santec for years and years, and Republic just come on board, right? But by virtue.
They acquired Santec.
Yeah.
They acquire all the old headaches along with the new headaches.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, all old headaches with new headaches, yes, they do.
And it's the same,
A lot of the same.
It's the same one,
the
People.
same people.
that do what?
Santec acquired, when Republic acquired Santec,
They kept
the
their
majority of the same people. on board.
management still there for the time being.
Some, not all.
Not
Some.
some, not all. One of the issues at county commission was something that we have no control over, which is picking up the trash at Telco Village. I mean, I'm sorry. We're here doing the landfill, running the landfill, this is the operation of the landfill, and I understand the public had some issues, right, Richard? Out there getting the trash picked up. But that does not fall under this board at all. It does not.
The GM of Atlanta controls both sides, so don't tell me that you don't have any leverage. You do have leverage.
Well,
We don't negotiate other.
That is
contracts.
At
We
the
don't
county, at the
negotiate
county's
that
expense though. That's what, at the county's expense.
Yeah.
Based on, we're pulling in something that is a different contract altogether. And
You have two
I
sides.
understand, Richard, I understand. I deal in big business too. But I'm telling you right now, if we ride that horse and don't do something right here to benefit, it ain't gonna benefit the county. We're gonna be further in debt. We're gonna have to start this process over with a new RP in a year, 2 years, whatever that is, and go down that process. The county is still on the hook for the money at the end of the day.
And this bond that you're talking about is renewable yearly. And at the end of the year, they say they're not gonna do it, you're right back in the same.
That's in the contract that they must maintain that bond
Yearly.
yearly.
Yes,
It renews every year,
and TDEC requires it.
and TDEC requires it.
And if they decide not to renew it, what are you gonna do?
They're in breach of contract.
It's breach of contract.
You don't have the bond, they didn't pay it anymore.
Okay, they're in breach of contract. That's simple.
I think Republic's got sufficient assets to cover this.
Sorry.
I think Republic has sufficient assets to cover a few $1 million shortfall if they breach a contract.
Sure do.
They do.
Some of that's ours, isn't it?
But it's written in the contract that they has to maintain the bond every year. It's written in the contract. It says, maintain the bond
What's
every
written in the
year.
contract can be broken and you know it.
Any contract can be broken, but there's legal ramifications if they break it.
Okay, you're gonna take on a $10 billion company.
Okay, so how would you fix that?
You haven't taken on
How would you
anybody
fix
when they
that?
threatened you.
If you have them paying the bond, how would you fix that problem?
I'm sorry,
How would you fix that problem in the contract?
there is no fixing it. You just gotta be aware, at the end of the year, they decide not to renew it, you're screwed. End of discussion.
No, it is not, and that's your opinion, and I respect it.
You're gonna have to take them to court. Are you gonna take them to court?
Well,
That's
there's
a pretty
other
easy victory
ways.
right there, Richard.
There's other ways.
It's breach of contract, it's very simple.
Give us the $200,000 a year, we'll buy the bond, and we won't have to worry about whether they break the contract.
But we're still on the county's still on the hook for the bond.
You have Republic give us the 2,000 they claim that bond costs, 200,000 every year, we'll buy our own bond.
That may have been
We're
a good
already
idea.
buying our own bond.
Excuse me?
Well, how does that net us anything more financially?
We're already buying our own bond. The county's already having to buy their own
The county
bond.
signs a commitment for taxes, there's no money involved.
Richard, I hear your question, and your question is, if Republic's gonna pay $200,000 for a bond, why don't we buy it? But it's still gonna cost $200,000, so that doesn't net any more money.
Give us the 200,000 every year, we'll buy the bond.
Right, we're not gonna get any cheaper than they do. That's not gonna net anything.
Why not? We could buy it just as easily as they can.
Okay.
And then
The,
Richard
the,
is
the thing that I was stating though about the hauling contract too was that was something that the county commission had put on there was about the hauling contract. What kept verbalizing the other night over the hauling out there and getting the trash picked up. That does not go in this board. I took it on when I found out that there was a problem because Ms. Hunter comes to county commission and tells that there is a problem, that they're not getting the trash picked up. And I took on that problem and called them and asked them to get it straightened out. Had to make several phone calls myself. Could have been fixed just as soon as it had been found out. I mean, I understand that they're still having some problems out there and the POA is supposed to be taking care of that, so.
All I
Yes,
was pointing
Theodore.
out, Kelly, is that
Mr. Chairman, I believe currently in the contract, they're supposed to do interim closings as well. That
Phase
aren't-
closure, phase closure.
That aren't being done.
There is no TDEC requirement for
No.
interim
So what is in our
closure.
contract? Do
The
we-
contract is a term that doesn't exist under TDEC regulations.
It's very difficult to hear. what
Yeah,
you
cause
hear.
there's a noise out there.
Could you say that once again?
Yeah, the contract contains some language about interim closure. It uses the term interim closure.
That's correct.
TDEC regulations don't have the word interim closure. There's no such thing as interim closure, nor was there when this contract was executed in 2007. The only closure obligation that TDEC had at the time was their regulation and requirement that a cell be closed when it reaches final elevation.
But in our current contract, it mentions interim closures, which to my knowledge, and I'm sure anybody from TDEC or Republic would know, would be a certain layer of dirt over the top.
No, that's
Some of them actually do interim closings every day.
that's daily cover. That's not, that doesn't satisfy closure obligations. That's daily cover.
So we have a condition in our contract that nobody knows what it's about, interim closing.
No, he just said that TDEC was the
TDEC will
one.
not enforce that.
TDEC is separate from our contract.
Well, no, they're right in the middle of it because they're the enforcement
We
part.
have an agreement with the vendor to do certain things, just like they are supposed to pay a bond. Does the TDEC require that?
Yes, TDEC requires
Okay,
financial
So they
assurance.
know they pay the bond, but our contract says, and they shall also do this, interim closing. What if we tell them we don't want them to work on Sunday? That's nothing to do with TDEC. It's a term in our contract that they should be complying with.
There's no TDEC regulation related to interim closure.
I understand that.
But interim closure does not mean dirt cover.
We have cells that have been dormant for years that should be closed. And by them not being closed, if we do get to the end of 2027 and they have not hit the elevation, we have to close them.
That's the whole point of these negotiations,
Right.
to
So-
get out of that situation.
Is to get out of that situation. But right now, if they're not going to fill them up further, they should take the action to close them. Not just leave them dormant until the last day of the contract, where they don't have the obligation to do it until it hits a certain level.
Yes, one thing I will say is we've had a consultant that works for us, Mr., what's his name?
Dr. Fargus.
Dr. Fargus. And he follows to the rule of TDEC rule and state rule, and comes back to us with recommendations to what that we should be doing and how we should be doing it. And he has looked at this very issue and reported to this commission that we're on target because of the way the sales are constructed. There's only one sale or maybe two that's been in the very first opening that is closed. The rest of them are opening, getting close. One of the things that held up the sale that I think you're working on now, the big one, is the fact that they let it settle, and we were in negotiations for the past few years of trying to lower that down. Because our constituents down at Tennessee National was wanting the elevation drop. So Santec, in turn, they made a choice to move and to open up another sale, but it's a pyramid building. It's not go up with a sale, cap it off, and come up with another sale, cap it off. That's not how it's done in the landfill world. They have to build it in and phase them in so that they get the maximum, use the maximum airspace when they close these sales. So I hope that helps you.
That fills in some detail. Now, just one more piece of the puzzle I'm concerned about. The amendment, the contract extension being proposed will go to 53 acres, but they're agreeing to close and post-close 41?
53.
53 is in there, okay.
Yeah.
It also says we can't reasonably withhold their ability to go to 67 acres.
No, it does not say that.
It says they can, if they get the state approval.
No, it does not say that.
No,
Did I make that up?
no.
I read a document that said.
If you could show me the provision, I'd be glad to look at it, but there is no provision that says that.
Santec will submit a major permit modification to TDEC to reflect a lateral expansion of the current permitted airspace of 41 acres to a revised total footprint of 67.2 acres.
The contract provides they only have, go ahead, sorry.
However, Santec will only be authorized to fill the remainder of the designated 53-acre portion of the landfill during the contract term. The
Okay, and
amended
we're building in
footprint.
a step.
Now, part of that, the way this permit was requested, we have to have some capacity. We, as the Solid Waste Commission, have to have some capacity at the end of the term. So we get down and we fill up the 57 acres and we got 67 over here. Well, we just don't shut everybody off in the county. We've got that already permitted. Whether we use it or not is a horse of a different color.
But if they fill 70% of that, which they might, would they not own 70% of the expense to close it? It's their waste.
They'll be responsible for the post-closure in the airspace. How am I saying that, Rich?
Anything that they have open, they're supposed to leave us 2 years
Yes.
worth of airspace.
Okay.
That's what they
Yeah,
have to leave us,
and
and that has to stay open. That they can't close 2 years worth of airspace, and that's based on previous year's numbers. So that's how that total comes
So
about.
that becomes our burden.
That's us, yes,
No
and
matter
that,
what percentage of it they use.
correct.
Or a new contract.
And the reason that we allow 2 years is that gives us time
I understand that.
to turn into TDEC and get the permit mods, or get a new company in here, or figure out what we're gonna do with it.
I just would like the assurance that if they have used 50% of it, they will pay 50% of the cost to close it. Even though they're required to leave open airspace, they step up to say, hey, we used half of the airspace, we'll pay that part of the closing, that percentage.
Unfortunately, that's not what the current contract says.
I'm asking for that. I'm asking for that as something to protect us.
Well, what's protected here is they're gonna close all of the 53 acres that they use.
And it
Well, they're
states
not.
in the
41 through 2038, they do not close the last 12, read the contract.
Richard,
I
I've read it, I drafted it. I know, I'm not gonna list any more of
You
this.
wanna see the print?
I drafted it.
CA5
Richard,
is not
Richard, this is
closed
not,
in
we're
2038.
gonna cut this off. This is not back and forth. This is
the-
ridiculous.
This is that part, he's talking about, you're talking about the current contract.
No, I'm talking about the revised one, read it. CA5 does not close before
Did
2038.
we say it closed for 2038? We said they have the obligation to close it and it's a bonded closure obligation. We didn't say a date, Richard.
You said all 53 would be closed, it's not true.
No, they will close all 53. All right, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, it
This
says
isn't
the
a time for
remainder.
debate back and forth, and frankly, we probably shouldn't have even opened this up to public comment because that period had expired at the beginning of the meeting.
Well,
But nonetheless,
that's, Richard, afterwards, you all can discuss where it is and you can show him what you're saying, and you can go from there.
I made a request, and I would be more than happy to
What-
put that in form of a formal question if I need to, so. Or however that needs to go about, I would just like to do something and get this over with, because it's took up way too much of our time
I think,
and
and I-
the citizens' time.
I understand and certainly appreciate it. I think in fairness, it does need to be on the agenda for a vote. It's not on the agenda tonight for a vote, but we can make the request that it be on the agenda for our next meeting or a special call meeting.
You keep referring to these damn
Richard, we're
documents.
finished with this.
Richard,
Richard,
you
you
asked
can,
These are the closed. CA1 is the first, 2027. CA2, 2034. CA3, 2036. CA4, 2038. CA5 is the 53 is not closed in your contract. That drawing goes to TDEC.
thank you.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we had a form of a motion.
I didn't hear, it. You'll have to form of the motion. What motion?
Alright, you tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not
that-
gonna do anything illegal.
My advice would be if it's not on the agenda, we shouldn't vote on something that's not on the agenda for approval.
So make a motion for a special.
We could have a special call meeting, or our next available regular meeting. Whatever the preference of this commission.
The one thing that if we do a special call meeting and we're coming for one thing, a vote, then there's not a lot of back and forth. Because I hear what's going on, what's being asked. And it still goes back, is Santec Republic open to negotiations? And the answer is no. So to Tammy's point, it's either yes or no. And I think the sooner we get it over, the better off. This is probably not the meeting. Either, like you said, get it on the agenda, that way it's out there to the general public, or call a special meeting. So Tammy?
Then I want a special call meeting, I want this over as soon as it can be over. It's ridiculous. There's tons of misinformation out there just to hold this thing up, and I'm done. You all were on this board, we have a book this thick, this is why we're on this board. Because no other commissioner or council member wants to deal with this
It's true.
at any other time until it's time to hold up a vote. So I want a special call meeting. to get it done. That way we can go on with our normal business as this committee should be.
That's in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Form of a motion to set a special call meeting to vote on the contract extension.
Got 5 minutes.
5 out of 7 makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 7.
Sammy, the motion to second on that, you made second, sorry.
I'm at second.
So we have a motion and a second. Discussion, guys? Special call meeting, discussion?
Not by me. Not here. You just go.
Obviously, it has to be, noticed under our bylaws, I believe it's 5 days, but I'm gonna double check that.
You wanna do a vote first, and then you can set it?
Well, let's go ahead and set it under,
Okay.
during discussion, and that way the vote will include
Yeah.
that.
What
That's
about
what
the
we're
28th of June? That's a Tuesday night. It's 2 weeks from now. That meets our advertisement requirement.
I'm unfortunately out on vacation, but you all are welcome to meet without me if you
Nope.
prefer.
Nope.
I guess we got that.
Unfortunately, I'll be back, the following week of the 5th.
Can he attend by phone like they do at the school board?
Oh, no.
Well-
I don't think that's in our bylaws either, so.
Send me a vacation.
Well, our advertisement is 7 days.
Yeah, that's what I was just checking here.
Tell me why not.
So, we could meet.
We could meet on the
I
23rd.
don't see why we can't do that, so.
That's a Thursday night. That interfere with anybody?
The 23rd.
I had a problem with that night,
22nd?
23rd.
Special meetings.
What's your requirement for advertising?
7 days.
I mean,
7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jenny got shot and we weren't able to attend the Sunday, got to my phone. So I don't know. I can't remember what they showed us. If it's for my.
22nd, can we do it on the 22nd?
You good 22nd, Art?
So we'd have to do it on the 22nd.
That's a Wednesday, you report or anything that day?
No. Yeah, but I don't think that gives us the full 7 days because we couldn't run it.
Because you gotta count for tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We need, 23rd would probably be our best opportunity to meet your schedule and meet a requirement.
Could we get something? Because the days here won't run it tomorrow, but we now can run it in other publications.
We can.
Would they be able to run something that quickly?
And
But Art can't make that one.
Can't make the 23rd.
You can't make the 23rd?
I think that really puts us into
you're gonna be out, what, the
that following
28th?
week, yeah. I'll be back the next week, which is the week of July 4th.
What's wrong with the 24th?
Well, that gets us close to our regular meeting on the
Yeah.
12th.
Yeah.
July 24th?
No, I said June 24th.
I'm sorry, June 24th, sorry, I'm flipping back and forth between July and June.
June the 24th?
It's
Mhm.
Friday.
It's a Friday night.
I'm gonna be gone, we're heading out of town that day,
And you're gonna be gone till when?
so the following Saturday, just July 2nd. Take a week of vacation.
How dare you? That was awesome.
Maybe we could do it the 5th. We'll wait till the 12th.
No, I don't see.
If you're gonna be at the 5th, I don't see why you wouldn't just wait, do it a regular meeting at the 12th then.
No, we don't need to wait.
Just put it on the,
Okay,
All right,
so
we'll be here the 23rd, right?
all day?
Evening, for sure.
I don't know if we can really notice it right to get it on the 23rd.
Well, actually, we also have the ability to put it, according to you, Will, it, that they could get it on their website, correct?
I don't know, you have to talk to the advertising people. I mean, I know we can put news, and in fact, we'll consider it news and we'll put it on the website, whether they sell you an ad or not.
They put it on the website.
I don't know if that satisfies the requirement or not, but
Well, the way we wrote on the bylaw,
We don't wanna wait till the 5th.
Can't get it in there.
I could put it out to
we can
Dan
put it
Bell
on
too.
But I don't
It's
know if
Daily
that's
Digest. He can get it in time.
Only two options are gonna be
Yeah,
the
I'm
5th
not
or the
making-
12th. So it's totally up to you. I mean, I
The
don't
5th
care.
or the 12th, if I can publicize it with Dan Bell too. And
If
on
we're
the
that
county
close,
website.
if we're that close, I mean, what more we can give us?
Oh, yeah.
I understand, I understand, my opinion.
I can put it on the,
What do you all think?
I'd hold it off to the regular meeting.
If we're gonna be that close. I mean, as much as I want it over with. I mean, you all understand that. I think we all feel that same way, that this has to end. Whether it approves or it doesn't, this has to end.
I think the
did
safest
somebody have,
alternative, I think
you
the
said it was
safest alternative.
July 5th?
I mean,
Anybody?
we certainly do July 5th, but I think the safest alternative is to put it on the regular agenda. That way no one can challenge the notice of the meeting or challenge the,
I rescind my
Anything?
motion,
I'll second, rescinding.
and we'll deal with it for another month.
okay, so it will be on the agenda for our next regular meeting.
Take recess.
Sorry.
Does that need a vote too, or? is-
No, it'll just be put on the agenda.
I just,
12.
Correct.
So what you all decide, regular meeting,
Next.
Regular meeting will be addressed.
okay. July 12th.
All right, so you're gonna give us an update. I guess we'll move on. You're gonna give us an update on Dr. Fargus.
Yes, I did get, an invoice from Dr. Fargus after all these years of begging and prodding. He hasn't charged for anything since, looks like the summer of 2021, even though he's consulted regularly, but that's up to him. His invoice is $2,242.67, which I'll pass out copies to everybody.
Grad students.
Are these sent to the county office building, or do I have to take one of these to the county office building?
I can send it if you like.
You can send it.
I guess we just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Dr. Farkas's late invoices.
Okay, so on this one too, if you send this to the county office building, it's gonna have to come back before us again for Larry and I to sign this. So can we not go ahead and Larry and I sign this and then you can
Oh,
send
sure,
it to
yeah,
him?
that's fine.
Once it's approved, we'll sign.
Yep, that's fine, so we can just have a motion.
Go ahead and sign this.
Larry
So do
made,
we have a motion?
Larry made a motion to approve.
Second.
these what I think they are?
Dr. Fargus.
Fargus' invoice.
Who made the second? Sorry, I missed it.
Mr. Stewart?
Alright, so we have a motion and a second to approve payment on this. It's money, it's roll call.
Okay, Mr. Jameson,
Aye.
Ms. Bivens,
Aye.
Chair,
Aye.
Mr. Small,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
Alright, passes 5-0.
You all got a copy, didn't you? Okay, thank you. Alright, then, next thing, oh, finally, Shelby, last time, see, you wanna stand up, take
How do you
that?
follow all of that?
No, not, no,
Way to put me on the spot, my last time. Alright, the cash activity report. The ending balance for May was $4,755,506.78. Poplar Spring balance was $57,714.19. And that was making the combined total $4,767,870.50.
One thing on Poplar Springs, I believe we got invoices already, will be coming through,
No.
they're done come through.
No.
Huh?
Huh?
On the Poplar Springs. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
There are no current invoices?
no current invoices, okay.
So, do you want me to put the Geosantec invoice in with the ones that I had?
That's fine, yeah. It's already signed and approved.
Okay. Alright, sure we can.
Okay, moving on to the operation report. First is the landfill tonnage report for May. Our 22.5 day average is 604.32 tons, and our 30-day average is 453.24 tons. And next is the customer activity report, so you can review that.
There was a question brought up about Madisonville sludge last night, around the city council meeting.
It's on there,
Is it on here again too?
last page. Well.
It was brought up at the meeting, so we need to verify this within the contract too, that, any sludge brought into the landfill has to be approved by us.
If it's not from the stakeholder.
If it's not from the stakeholders, any sludge brought into the landfill has to be approved by us.
Okay,
Was that a Santec hauling it in or another carrier, or what's the deal on
it was
that?
another carrier.
Okay,
Is this a regular, you know, if this is a regular,
We wasn't have to go that carrier.
do we know if this is gonna be a regular customer?
It is,
so how much has come in? I mean, we're getting notified now, how much has come in?
just over the past, month or so.
Well, I noticed it was on there last month.
Okay, we had to get approval, so I have to go back and get the date that's, the TDEC approved it, so I can give you an exact date on that. It was going to, Athens landfill, but now they require it to come to,
TDEC requires it?
no, the hauler. Just cause Athens is so, unreliable on their wait time. It's like a 2.5 hour wait time to dump the trash.
This
2.5.
commission needs to approve that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It will stop immediately. So I guess we make a motion for next month, or we can,
Well, we probably need some more information about it.
Okay, I'll send you all the information.
Put that under.
Is there anything else coming in like that?
No, just Leno City.
So you get sludge from Loudon, get sludge from Mineral City, correct?
Yeah.
Is a sludge come out from Tellico Village? Do they do anything out there? They don't?
Our sewage goes to that.
Goes to
Just
Loudon?
allowed.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it comes
So, yeah, we get it.
LUV.
Okay, alright.
It goes there too.
Goes there too.
Yeah, it goes there too.
We'll put that on the agenda for next month's meeting.
How bad is that gonna affect that customer, putting it off for a month?
It's gonna affect them.
I have to get with him and see.
They made 10.
I'm sure he still has the approval to take it to Athens as well.
Yeah.
He had to get state approval to bring it to us, so I'll check with him and see. I mean, it's
Well,
basically revenue for us.
I understand that's revenue, but based on the contract that we're under right now, we should have been notified prior to this happening.
To be honest, I wasn't aware of that part, so.
Okay.
Apologize, we'll cut it off immediately.
Nothing that can't be fixed.
Is that dewatered sludge or what is it?
Yes, sir.
Is it dewatered?
Yes. Sir?
Go ahead.
Secondary waste.
Next is the materials classification report.
Oh, it's up
We
there.
had 11,434 tons of MSW, 1,407 tons of special waste, 723 tons of sludge. That made the total material 13,597 tons, and that was made up of 84% MSW, 16% special waste, and 5% sludge.
So we're still at 5% on sludge. Has there,
Actually, it dropped.
out of county garbage changed? I mean, we were floating on 18% out of county. Is that still where we're,
It's got its days, so yes.
the monthly average
Yes.
was setting on that? Let's have a little more information next month if we can. How much out of county that we are getting. I'd like to see documentation on that. I know it's only 17%. Most of that comes in on a Sandtech truck for the most part.
For the most part.
So I'd like to see that, please.
We get, I guess we normally get quarterly origin reports, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's up next month then.
Well, I don't know, but we'd like a report next month regardless.
Yes, but you know, we control, waste management controls bond order, so that's a big,
Good.
volume of it as well.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Next is the waste characterization report, and you can review that.
I have to get David in order with Taylor. Cause we flip a document over and
And
it's
it's not
not,
what I have.
is that what you have? I have to go find it.
You guys are playing hide and seek with
Good
mine.
work, plan, find the document, that's right. Go ahead, though.
Next I have the landfill tire report.
Okay.
We had 32.43 tons in May, and that's bringing the annual total to 350.38 tons.
Has there been anything said, Adam from TDEC, about changing up the tire? How they're gonna do tires or anything? Are they looking into,
I put in a request, they're looking into it, and, Liberty's put in, a price change where we have to have 17 ton to haul out. If we don't have the 17 ton to haul out, they're gonna charge us 17 ton. But there's a stipulation there, they don't want us pushing in the tire trailer either. So, you know, as I told them, one or two, you gotta lower your rate a little bit, or we're gonna push in this tire trailer. Because
And
You fill a
Liberty,
trailer up pretty quick without.
and
pushing.
Liberty is the one that has there's not really any other hauler that takes the tires. That's what I thought.
No, they handle most of the whole counties, surrounding counties.
Yeah.
That's why they're so slow about picking it up.
And so they're going up on their rates.
They have went up on their rates.
Yeah.
And again,
And we're still just getting the same amount from the state,
yes,
no matter if they go up on their rates or whatever.
yes,
We still get the same amount per tire.
yes.
So what did they come back with? Are they
They
gonna,
I haven't got a response yet, but I did get a hold of Liberty and say we're gonna pack the trailers as much as we could because we're not paying for additional weight that we don't have on there. We're gonna put it on there.
which is really not hard to do, because we get enough tires in there.
We do, and then, if, you know, they're not stacking them, they're just throwing them, so if 3 people fill the trailer up, I mean, without us mashing them, I mean, it's full.
Yeah.
So we take the initiative of mashing it because
Alright,
yeah, we do, I think we do enough of that already.
Hey, can I ask a question?
sure,
We're on
JJ,
tires.
yes,
I've got 2 people that's called me back this past month. They had like pickup truck loads of tires, or that they cleaned them up. They could never get through at the landfill. And then I text them the number, you know, that I got off the tickets, and that number don't work.
So, what had happened is we have another phone, ordered. Our primary office phone is, if something happened to it.
Okay.
So we had to hook up a secondary office phone to it, so therefore it's a secondary number, because it has its own little data in it, so. We have another phone coming, be the primary phone again, but, I
Well,
don't,
I was just gonna say, you know, if we're gonna swap this out on a number, maybe, you know, we change it on the tickets, you know.
but yes, we have that secondary phone coming back.
Yeah, okay. I've actually got about 200 that I need to bring right now.
You from Alabama?
I'm from Winter City. But I've got about 200, and a lot of it has been thrown out on the sides of the road.
Yeah.
And I've been picking them up, you know, just to keep them out of the ditch lines, so.
hey, JJ, if you will, when we finish the meeting, make sure Shelby has your number. She's gonna make sure that Taylor gives you a call and gets the right number to you,
Okay.
okay?
You can have the temporary number till we get
Yes.
the number.
Well, I just didn't want people loading these things and me loading 2 loads of them, sending them down there with the tire trailers full. I wasted half a day.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and of course JJ is from our other entity, he's from Lenore City, so. Okay. Alright, go Shelby.
Okay, next I have the airspace utilization report, and our full date is October 2025. And then I have the host and security fees. The host fee was $14,433.21. The security fee was $18,223.75. And then finally, I have the landfill inspection.
I got a couple of questions, Adam,
On the landfill inspection?
over the inspections.
Yes, sir.
Are you watering the roads, the access and excess road?
We are, and believe it or not, it's 6 or 7 times a day.
Okay,
If you wanna go back to our second to last meeting, where she was out that day, she actually gave us an AOC for dust. So we had just watered it 30 minutes prior to that.
I can see that. I can also see the plumes of dust coming up.
Yeah, so we stay on top of it,
Okay.
6 or 7 times, I mean, it's a job itself.
Yous have done a good job on the road, but right now, if you drive down there on the access road, we got mud in the road. And how we got mud in the road, I've caught 2 or 3 trucks that I've seen that's mud in the tread. They're not going through the wheel wash, they're coming down a wet road, stuff's falling off. I mean, it's dry right now, but they're still getting in some mud somewhere.
And it's hard to monitor that on that case, Larry, because some of them is full blown,
Well, I know it's hard to monitor, but I'm telling you right now, we don't wanna open up that box again,
oh, Lord, no,
cause that's where you're headed.
Lord, no.
That is exactly where you're headed, so.
Do you have somebody stationed at the wheel wash or
I
cameras
do
in the wheel
not,
wash?
on a dry day, a rainy day, we have somebody, a guy posted up there just to make sure everybody goes through. We just recently switched our, working faces over there from the area we was in where it's 2 trucks wide, now we're back up to 4 trucks wide, so, so yeah.
Get them back on gravel. That fixed your problem the last time. You know it as well as I do. And I know it's a waste of rock, but it's one of necessity that needs to be done. I do not want to open this up again. Because you go down there right now, the sweeper does a great job. I'm not knocking that. Not going through the wheel wash, I understand. But when the mud is on the tread and you can come out of there and follow it all the way up to Monterey Mushrooms, you got a problem.
We'll get a grab on it.
Thank you, sir.
That it, Shelley?
Yep, that's it for me.
Alright, so, on the agenda, chairman's report, invoices. No, that's not the invoices. We had, of course, the one where we just approved too, the geosyntax, our pay, and actually, Terry, when I pass this down to you, you need to look on this, I believe. The one that you were absent at, they have not paid yet. Okay, so what you probably got, check was back. You know, cause this was supposed to be, it was received May 13th, but they
Okay.
will not pay them until they're signed. So,
Yeah, cash
so
Hopefully it'll spend.
cash it and go from there, okay? And then there are the attorney's fees too. So I will pass them that way and y'all can look and pass that this way. Alright, so that was the attorney fees, the commission pay, and then I have a letter from the auditor. Let's see. Oh, right here it says auditor letter. Letter from the auditor. Stating, I'll let y'all take a look. Okay. Hope you're doing well. As I mentioned last year, we usually operate under a year-to-year agreement with almost all of our government audit clients. We generally propose fee increases in the 4 to 6% range to help us keep up with the cost of operations, which for a CPA firm is mostly personal and related costs. Our proposed fee for the audit for the year ending June 30th of 2022 will be $10,100, an increase of $500 from the prior year fee, or a little, approximately 5%. If this is agreeable with you and your board, please let me know, and I will prepare an engagement letter and state contract. Did they not go up last year?
Every year,
They go up every year.
Are we in contact with them, or is this something we need to start looking at bidding out?
We had talked about that.
We tried to bid it out, it's either been 2 or 3 years ago.
3 years.
3 years ago, we gave it to about 6 firms and nobody
Nobody
bid.
wants us. Yeah, that's awesome.
I wonder why.
Shocked.
Oh, there's a motion.
Can't imagine why nobody would work.
Alright, so, looking at that. We probably need to decide, I mean, they went up last year, it was about the same amount, wasn't it?
They're going up about 4 or 5% a year.
Okay, well, maybe they need to cap it there for,
That's, I mean, our audit, fairly
that's pretty,
expensive. It's fairly expensive audit. Maybe we should try to, it's been 3 years since we bid it out the last time. Maybe it's something we need
look into again.
to look into
We can
again.
certainly look into it and give it another shot. I think it's probably too late for this year
Right,
to undertake that, but
Yeah.
that could be a ongoing project.
2023.
Well, he said our proposed fee for the audit for the year ending June 30th of 2022 will be,
Yeah, in order to
This
do it
year,
in 2023, you gotta
increase.
get it in place July.
Mhm.
It may be a little late for 2023.
2030 is possible.
so is this, when they say an increase, is that for this year? We're
It's
in
for
a
next
contract.
It's for next year.
It's for this year, but for
The coming
Next
year.
year's
Yes, we
next
correct.
year's, okay,
physical audit in hand.
Correct.
okay. So our cost to him for this year is not going to be 10,100, right?
It's 9,600.
9,600.
Okay, so what we probably need to let him know is that he needs to hold off on trying to make one for next year. Is that what,
I don't think we can.
You ain't got that much
We
time.
don't have time right now, but it's gonna have to be a longer term project to
Right.
bid it out.
I think we run into this same quandary when we done it the last time.
Yeah. And we
Okay.
tried, yeah.
Yeah, I think I recall sitting in on those.
Yeah.
I don't think I was on board yet, but I remember sitting in.
Unfortunately, what I was finding when I told these accountants what our budget was, they wouldn't even talk to me.
Yeah.
So, cause that's one of the first things I asked is approximately what you're paying for your current audit. And when I told them, and that was 3 years ago, $8,000 or whatever it was, they didn't return my calls. I didn't take it personally though.
okay. Alright, so when do we need to get back to him and
I
say?
think we should just agree for now, cause I don't think we have another choice. But
Okay.
we can make it a project to.
So I guess we need a form of a motion and a roll count.
Yes, because it's money.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we accept it for the year of 2022, or 2023, excuse me.
Well, it says 2022 ending.
It's the
So
beginning.
2022, 2023.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion and a second to accept, the 5% agreeable increase
Okay,
to our audit.
do a roll call.
Any more discussion?
One thing I would like to add is we need to go ahead and set a target time to start to work on this, because this will slip up on us again.
No question.
Okay, would you like to put the target time on there?
Oh, wait, we could add it to new business to discuss.
Just keep it on the agenda.
Keep it on the agenda.
That way it's not tied in with this motion to approve that.
True.
Get lost. Alright, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Putting down, start looking at audit pricing. How's that? Alright,
Do a roll call. Mr. Jameson,
Aye.
Ms. Bevan,
Aye.
Chair,
aye.
Mr. Small,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Alright, with that, the motion passes. Alright, old business, and I will tell you, Steve wanted me to put this on, discussion of administrative assistant. And I will honestly tell you, he sent me some documents, I went to pull them back up to print them, now I can't find them. So, he said that they had discussed an administrative assistant several years ago. He has some information on that. I don't know if anybody's had any more thoughts about that.
I think until we vote on this contract, I don't really know if it's something that we should look at until this contract gets signed.
I'm like you on that. I do think though that we need to have a more in-depth scope of what that assistant would be and do. Other than just having somebody, a secretary, I mean, I'm
I like
lacking in that.
Yeah.
That part.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, Kevin does and the things that I do and take on and running back and forth trying to get things so that they're posted. You know, it'd be real nice if we had access to our own website so that we could just go into it, but the county's not decided that's gonna be a capability. But
I'm
it
sure
is a
that's-
back and forth kind of thing to do.
I'm sure that's for cyber protection.
I'm sure it is too.
I
I'm
mean,
sure it is too. But, the schools had a nice way of doing it where you could just access your own web page and post what you needed to. So I figured if schools could figure out how to do it, surely our county should, but
easy now.
we're still there. We're still kind of waiting on that one. I believe we do need to kind of put it off. What do you think, Art?
I totally agree.
I think we need to put it off for a while. How about if I just kind of keep it under old business? Don't you think, Terry, too? Put it
Sure.
off?
Yeah, I don't wanna lose it off of there, so just keep it under old business, but I just feel, and maybe after next month, we'll know something. And then we'll be able to move forward with it.
Okay.
I think that'll have a lot of weighing on our budget and everything else.
Alright, July agenda for that too. Alright, there's not anything else under old business, anybody?
Madam Chairwoman, I make a motion to
You don't have
adjourn.
any new business?
Oh,
No new
New
business?
business is adjourned.
can you tell I'm ready to go?
Go ahead.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't leave it around.
Don't get a roll call.